bag money lunch with you, it is my pleasure to invite to the Zoom room stage Bridget Finister. Show her some love.
Thank you so much, Dr. Marguerite. You literally like the best introduction ever. You know, you're one of my favorite people. So I am so grateful to be here to talk to you guys today. I thank you guys for letting me come and crash your leadership conference. I'm super excited to just kind of share what I've got with you guys today, and I'm happy to take questions. So this is for you. I'm here to educate you guys, but I'm also here to answer any questions you have. So feel free to place them in the chat. We'll address them at the end. But like Dr. Marguerite said, like I am a native of the Bay Area. Obviously, I have completed the trifecta, dancing. I love to dance and perform, but now my job here is to be your cheerleader. I want to help cheerlead you into generational wealth and showing you exactly what that looks like. And that starts in college. You know, so often I feel like we think that we have to wait until we graduate school and get into that job and then life starts. So we start making money and we start saving money and investing and do all these things. But guess what? If you start doing that stuff now, start developing the discipline, the habits that you need to do with your money now, when you get to those jobs, you're going to be so successful and you're going to be set up. Some people, some of my clients, like they're in their 40s and 50s just getting started, but you guys are at the pinnacle of being able to cultivate this life and create an existence that you are proud of. And so I'm super excited with you to share with you just a few little tips to help you get started. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up my presentation and we'll get started. And if you guys, like I said, have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat and I'll make sure to have a Q&A towards the end. Oh, 1 second. Okay, perfect. All right. And can you guys see my screen okay? Perfect. Awesome. So again, my name is Bridget Finister and I have dubbed myself the Wealth Doctor. Why? Because we know health is wealth and wealth is also actually health. When you think about it, 99% of the problems that we have in adulthood and life in general can be solved by writing a check. The other 1%, you know, illness, people passing away, those types of things, we can't really control them. However, if you can write a check to pay your bills, if you can write a check to have that surgery, if you can write a check to fly across the country to see your family, that's going to solve all of our issues. So if we can make sure that we're taking care of our financial health, our physical health, our mental health, every other aspect of our life is going to fall into order. So I am on a mission to help people make their wealth healthy so that we can live the lives that we want to live. And it just said it goes across the board. And so this is money management for the millennial person, the college student, the person that just wants to have a life of their dreams. And so as I'm going through this presentation, I just want you to think to yourself, what is the life of my dreams? Now, yours is going to look different than mine. It's going to look different than Dr. Marguerite's. It's going to look different than your cousin, your brother, your sister, anybody else. Imagine to yourself, like if you could do anything you wanted to do, if you can have the financial life you wanted to have, the travel life, the home, the cars, whatever it is, what does that look like for you? And that is how I start off the conversation with my clients is, what does that look like for you? And how can we help you get what you want? Like I said, everybody's going to look different. And so once you kind of start off with there, we can create a strategy to help you secure the bag. I know we've heard it so many times in so many different places, but when we think about securing the bag, we're thinking about getting that generational wealth, getting that money to the side in a space to where you can be able to do what you want to do in your life. And so listen, I'm a financial advisor, and these are just a few tips and tricks that you can use to help yourself be more successful in the financial arena. And so what are we going to talk about today? Well, number one, we're going to talk about the importance of credit. Why is it something that you should think about right now while you're in college? Managing debt and how that can be something that can help you be prepared for the future, saving and investing, because we know that there's some good things there. And if you're not doing those things, you're not going to be able to create wealth. And then also the best personal finance apps, because this is not your mom's budgeting. And we don't have to just do it on paper. There's different ways we can do it in the millennial world. And so when we think about financial literacy, I just want to talk really quick about how it breeds power. By investing in your financial education, you really are going to gain a confidence to help secure yourself a future that you want, that you designed, that you created for you. No matter what your aspirations are, every informed financial decision you make gets you closer to these goals. So at the end of the day, what you decide to do with your money is what you decide to do because it's your life. However, if you know that you're making those decisions based off of good, solid, foundational things, so where you say, okay, I know this information and now I'm making this decision, as opposed to making decisions with your money, which you don't necessarily know all the information, you'll be a whole lot better and feel a whole lot more confident about what you're going to do if you can do that for yourself. And so when you think about financial literacy, I don't want you to think about it as a boring, dry topic. I want you to think about a space where you feel empowered to say, you know what, I'm doing this financially because I know that this is going to get me this result. I know that this is going to make sure that this doesn't happen to me. And I know that I'll be set. And if you can make your financial decisions based off of those things, then you'll be set the rest of your life. And then you can teach your family these things as well. And so when we talk about credit, just before we even get started on that, just know that it is your financial power. So many people discount the fact that credit allows you to do a lot of things in this world. Now, you might try to avoid credit, but if you don't have credit, there's a lot of things you can't do. For example, buying a home or even renting an apartment, as you probably have seen as you've gotten into college, you need to have credit. And so having that power in addition to having money is equally as important. So when we're talking about credit, like here's a few questions I typically get from my clients. Let me go ahead and hold these fun. What is a good credit score? So essentially what your credit score is how the world is going to judge you based off of what they're going to allow you to do. Like I said, whether you're going to buy a car, whether you're going to buy a home, whether you're going to get an apartment, whether you can even rent a car, you need to have a credit score. It's almost like your SAT score. Just imagine it being like when you got your SAT score, it tells you what colleges you can apply to. Your credit score tells you what things you can purchase, what things you can do. So you want to make sure you have a good credit score. Your credit score, if it's exceptional, it's going to be over 800. If it's very good, it's going to be between 740 to 799. If it's good, between 670 to 739. And anything that's poor is 579 and below. Now, here's a few things. You don't want to get discouraged if your credit score is low. You can always raise it, but just like in school, I just want you guys to imagine your credit score is almost like grades. You know, everybody knows, right? It's a lot easier to lower your GPA by getting a few bad grades than it is to raise it by getting a whole lot of good grades. So if we can, we want to make sure that you are doing things that cause your credit to stay up as opposed to down, to make sure that we are keeping that score high so that we don't have to play catch up. You can always fix things, but it's going to take some time. So let's try to stay on the side of caution of let's do better in the beginning. And so what are some things that causes credit scores to lower? Having no credit. So there is a huge myth out there that you should stay away from credit. Don't do anything with credit. But what you need to know is having no credit is almost worse than having bad credit. Why? Because credit scores tell lenders whether or not you can be trusted with money, whether you're going to pay it back on time, and whether or not you even have money to pay back. So having no credit gives them absolutely nothing to go off of. It's almost like when you go to apply for a job and they say you have to have experience before you have the job. And you're like, how can I have a job with no experience? And vice versa. It's the same with credit. So you want to start somewhere. And having credit cards with zero balances. Having a credit card and not using it is also bad. Why? Because when you are not using those cards, the companies cannot see if you are able to pay them back and if you have a good track record. So you also don't want that to happen. Closing accounts. Closing a lot of accounts shows negatively on your credit reports as well. Late payments. That's like turning in your homework assignments late, you're going to get docked for it. Having too many inquiries. So for example, if you applied for like 10 credit cards this month, or you applied for a car loan and an apartment and all these different things, all of that shows up on your credit score. So you don't want to apply for a ton of things at the same time. You want to be strategic about what you're applying for. And then having balances that are more than 30% of what you owe on those. Those things are what is going to cause your credit score to go down. And you want to make sure that we're staying away from that. So how can you raise your credit score? Well, number one, consistently use your cards. You want to use them, but then you want to pay off your balance monthly. So for example, I have a credit card and I know I'm going to get gas every single month. You know, you're going to buy groceries every single month. So what you can do is take the funds that you have to spend on gas or groceries, and you're going to put those aside into your savings account. Now you're going to use your credit card to buy gas, buy groceries all month long. At the end of the month, once you get that credit card statement, You're going to pay off that balance completely using the money you set aside with your savings. And now you have a zero balance. So one, that shows the companies that you're using the card. Two, that shows them that you can pay off the card and you're not paying interest. And three, it just keeps your balance at a zero so that you're not having any issues in the future. So that is a good way that you can keep your credit score raising and keep it at a good way. Keeping your balances below 30%. So you do not want to have any balance that is above 30% on your card. So if you have a $500 balance and you're using $499, that is not good. So you want to keep that balance below 30% no matter what. And if you do happen to charge something bit on the card, like I said, just make sure that you're paying it off so that those balances can stay low. And then also utilities. This is a huge thing. This is something that I learned in college and a lot of my roommates had no clue about, and they ended up screwing up their credit while they were in college. If you have utilities in your name, for example, water, gas, electric, your phone bill, and even internet and cable, and you do not pay on time or you default on those payments, that affects your credit score. So when you're getting your credit run for cars and homes and apartments and different things, they're going to check and see if your utilities are on time, and it will count against you if it's not. So that also be careful when you're co-signing with people, or let's say you stay in an apartment with somebody and you say, hey, I'll take the utility bill, but they're not paying their half. You know what? If your name's on it, it's going to count against you negatively. So just be careful about those things as you're going through college. And I'm sure you guys probably have already dealt with a lot of these things, but I said, we're just reminding you of things that, we have learned. And then how many cards is too many? You want to shoot for 3 cards or less. And some of those cards could be at your favorite store. So maybe Target. I know everybody loves Target. You can spend a lot of money at Target, so be careful. But maybe Target, a card for travel. So Southwest, we all like to fly Southwest or whatever your favorite travel card is. Or a card for big purchases, maybe like a Best Buy or a place that you can buy like larger items. So having maybe 3 cards that you can toggle through is great, and strategically using them for different things. Making sure that you choose cards that are not going to have a ton of fees. You just want to make sure that whatever you're doing is strategic. And then what are the best credit cards? Any cards that come with a benefit. You always want benefits. So they're using you for your money. You want to use them for the benefits. So any card that has travel points, cash back points, or any type of points back, you want to get those types of cards. So for example, American Express, it's a really great card to have. Discover, for those of you that are in college that might not have a whole lot of money or a whole lot of credit, Discover is a great card to apply for because they will approve you. Is it just make sure that you're being safe with it. Southwest, or any card from your bank. Let's say you bank at Chase, you can go to Chase and apply for a credit card with Chase. They see that you have an account with them. And so it kind of keeps everything all in one place. That might be a good starter card for you as well. And then just remember, not knowing your credit score will hurt you. So if you don't know your credit score, it's just like not knowing your SAT or your ACT scores. You need to know them. So check them. You can get them free every year. Make sure that you're checking on those, and then utilizing sites that are not going to ding your credit report by pulling your reports. Delinquencies do stay on your credit report for 7 years. So what is a delinquency? When you're late on a payment, when you have to, when you didn't pay on a card and they charged it off and it's showing that you just did not pay anything like that is going to show on your credit report for 7 years. So be careful about what you're doing because it will stay with you. It will fall off. So for example, I also don't want you to be stressed out if you've already done some of these things because it can be fixed. Just know for the future, we're going to try to stay away from those things. And then raising your credit limit can hurt you. So what these credit card companies will also do is say, hey, you've been doing so great. You have $300 limit. You've been paying it off. How about we just give you another $200 or another $500? And you're like, oh, this is awesome. I can go buy more stuff at Target. Try not to do that. Unless your income is raising, you really don't need to raise your credit limit. You don't have to agree to it. And so just allow them to keep sending you those messages. We're going to leave it at that. So those are some tips about credit. Feel free to write down your questions. And at the end, I'll address any of those that you have about any of our credit information. And then moving forward, I want to give you guys a little bit of homework. So I know you're students, you guys are studious, and you are all about self-improvement and doing better because you guys are the leaders at this school. So I want to give you guys a few little homework assignments to help yourself out after we get off of this this great conference. Number one, pull your credit report. If you have not done that, I look at mine all the time, but if you haven't done it this year, pull your credit report, print it out, look at everything, check your score, see what your score is, write it down, and then check for any errors. So a lot of times, sometimes people steal identities and different errors and things happen on your credit report. So you want to check and make sure that everything's on there was you and it was not somebody else. And you can dispute those errors and anything that's not supposed to be on there. Check your interest rate on any of your credit cards or any of your loans and just write those down and see if it's good. If you're closer to like 1%, 2%, that's pretty good. But if you're closer to like 20, 25%, that's high. So some of those things that you can make adjustments with, but you don't know if you don't look. And then call and ask if you can lower those interest rates. So you actually can call the companies and say, hey, I want to get a lower interest rate. They'll either tell you yes, or they'll tell you no, but you can ask, always ask. And then you want to download a credit score app. Credit Karma is a great one. A lot of people use it. It's not going to give you your exact score, but it'll give you a score that's pretty around-ish what you have. And so download an app. It's free. I literally check my credit score every single day. It's super easy to use. Apps are great. So I definitely recommend downloading the Credit Karma app and just checking it. And it'll actually show you everything that's on your credit report as well. So that's your homework. Now we're going to move on to debt. So all I can say is that I don't know if you guys have debt. You might have student loan debt. You might have credit card debt. You might have other debt. One thing I want to tell you is that it's okay. Don't be stressed out. Don't feel like you can never get out of it. Don't feel like it's a hole that you're stuck in, because anything can be fixed. I tell this to my clients all the time. A lot of people come in just downtrodden and feeling like, you know what, life is over. I've made so many mistakes. But what I want you to give yourself is grace. Grace to know that you might have made mistakes, or you might have done some things in the past that you didn't know. But now from this day forward, you can do better. And then we're going to work backwards to find out how to fix it. And then not only that, you can be a testimony to show people like, look, I made these mistakes in the past, but in the future, I'm going to do this. I've made financial mistakes. I've had to do things that I had to clean up, and I'm a financial advisor, but it's okay. And so it's totally fine to know that you're starting from somewhere, because it always seems impossible until it's done. You can do it, and you'll honestly feel a lot more proud about yourself that you put things together and you got it right and you made a difference in your own life. And so first things first, when it comes to debt, we just want to avoid it altogether. Let's try not to get into debt that we know we cannot get out of. And we know what that is. That's like, look, like I said, Target, I don't know what it is about this black hole of Target, but when you walk in there, it's like you come in and there's like this aisle with like $1 stuff. And you're like, I'm just going to buy one or two things. It's $1. And you leave and you spent $500. I don't know if it's just me, but that's how I am in Target. So if we can, let's just try to avoid debt altogether. Have a list when you go shopping, and stick to that list. If it's not on the list, you don't buy it. And that'll help you with that impulse buying. Do your needs versus your wants. Write down things. So if you're saying that this is the list of things that I need to buy, go through and say, is this a need or this is a want? Do you need that new pair of shoes, or do you want it? Do you need groceries? Yes. Or do you want it? You know what I mean? You go through and do the needs versus wants for everything that you buy. And that might help you, especially for me, I know, especially during the pandemic, because you couldn't try anything on the store. I was doing a lot of online shopping and then having to return things that didn't fit and stuff. And so you kind of get used to this whole like buying it. It's like this euphoria that you feel when you purchase things. And so if you kind of got into that space where you're like, I really like that, the feeling of buying things, kind of do that 24-hour rule where you're saying, all right, I'm going to put all these things in my cart and then wait 24 hours and see how I feel. And if I don't feel like I need this anymore, I'm going to take it out. And if I do, I'll buy it. It's a great one to do. And the other thing is, my sister taught me this. She's a genius. She loves to shop, but she also loves to save. We go to the store. I used to think like, what is wrong with her? She'd put all these things into her cart. And then we'd get to the checkout and I'd be like, are you going to buy all this stuff? She's like, no, like I put the stuff in the cart to feed that euphoria that I feel when I shop. And then when I get to the register, I take out all the stuff that I don't need. So there's so many tricks that you can do to trick yourself into budgeting and saving and doing better. And it's hilarious. And I used to laugh at her, but I'm telling you, it works. And I do it in my cart at Amazon. If you go there right now, I've got like 500 things saved. And guess what? I probably won't buy any of them, but it makes me feel good to just know that I saw it and I put it in the cart. And then this next thing you can do is tackle debt. Although it might feel overwhelming, you can tackle debt one step at a time. Just like I said, like take it day by day, focus on what you can focus on. And so sometimes tackling debt looks like just listing it out, figuring out what you have, looking at your bills and just doing it little bits at a time, putting money aside, not getting any more debt. And so that might be something you might need to do. And also debt stacking. So that is a strategy that involves tackling debt with the highest interest rate first. And so you want to, like I said, look at those interest rates, figure out which one is going to be the one you're going to pay the most interest on, then hit those first, pay all the minimums, and then hit the one that has the highest interest rate all at once. And then once you're done paying that one off, continue act like you're paying that bill. Now throw all that money onto the next one. And then once you've paid off that one, throw your money onto the next one. And that just snowballing it all the way down. And that's a way that you can tackle debt if you feel like you're facing a whole lot of debt. And so again, because like I said, you guys are studious, you're investing in your future. I want you to invest in your finances. I want you to get into the habit of doing financial homework for yourself. This is for you. Nobody's looking at it. Nobody's checking it, but your life is going to be the judge and the teacher and the one that gives you the grade. So what financial grade do you want to have? And so doing your consumer debt homework looks like writing down all of your debt, including your student loans. You can start preparing for paying off your student loans now before you get out of college. That is a huge thing. And so just starting those habits. Number 2, assessing the amount of debt with the highest interest, like I said. Number 3, pay all the minimums every month on the debt. So do not default on your debt because that's going to go negatively against your credit. And then pay extra only on the target account. So you're going to choose the one with the highest interest rate, target that one with extra, and then repeat that until all debt is paid. So that is going to be a way that you can get out of debt and that you can help yourself have a better financial and debt future. Moving along, we are going to get to student loans. Now, this is like the looming dark cloud over all college students. I have student loans. We all have student loans. It's like we're all in this boat together right now. It's like one of those things where we say there's 2 things guaranteed in life. You're gonna die and you're gonna pay taxes and you might have student loans. We're all in the same boat, so don't feel bad. You're investing in your education and that's huge and that's important. And I'm proud of you guys for doing that because that is a life decision that you've made and a commitment you've made to yourself and your future. However, we know that we need to take care of these student loans. Just so you know, your student loans do affect your credit report and your credit scores. So your account information, such as the amount of the loan, your monthly payment amounts, and your payment history are factored into when a credit score is calculated. So as long as you're not defaulting, you're typically good because at this point, the country knows everybody has student loans. They don't affect you as bad. But when you default, when you don't pay on them, and when you just leave them alone and act like they're going to disappear. I literally had a friend whose husband, I talked to her and she was like, oh my God, what do I do? We had to have a conversation with her husband. He would get statements of his student loans and would be so afraid to look at them. He would throw them away. And I literally asked him, I was like, do you think they're going to go away if you put them in the trash? They're going to come find you in another way. So let's not throw them away. Let's face it. And once we faced it, he felt so much better because it's was a looming thing over his head. So just don't ignore it. Just create a strategy to face it. And so just remember, you cannot file bankruptcy on student loans unless they're private. So for the most part, just know that you can't file bankruptcy on it. You're going to have to pay it some way, somehow, some way. And so also there are ways to help yourself in the meantime while you are saving up money to pay off those loans, deferment, forbearance, in case that you don't have the funds to do it. You can also do payment plans. There's so many things you can do. Don't think that, oh my God, they're coming at me for $400. I can't do it. No, they'll work with you. Even if you paid $10 a month, they'll figure it out. Do not default. Do not default. Everybody say it together. Do not default. That is the one thing that you should not do. It will bite you in the butt and it will not feel good. You can also consolidate all your loans together. So those are some options. Make sure that whenever you're dealing with your student loans in the future, or if you're dealing with them now, that you're just not ignoring them and that you're asking them for options, looking into options. Also, one other thing, there are forgiveness programs. So if you work in certain industries, they do forgive loans. Sometimes it's good to work at a certain job or certain places to make sure that you can get that student loan forgiveness. Make sure you look into that with the field that you're going into, because that can help you in the future. So again, like I said, you guys are on it. You're going to have your financial lives in order because there is some student loan debt homework you can save for the future if you're not paying on your loans yet, or you can think about now if you are dealing with those loans right now. Number 1, contact your student loan provider and ask for any options. You can also do this while you're using the loans, just to kind of see what our options are for the future so you can prepare. Number 2, like I said, defer or use a forbearance as long as you can if you don't have the funds. But in the meantime, prepare funds in the background. So if you can start saving some money in an investment account, every single month while you're on deferment or forbearance, but knowing that that interest is going to accrue depending on how you do it, that you could hit it with a certain amount at the end, you can do that, but just know you have options. Number 4, like I said, using lump sums to knock out chunks of debt at once, because a lot of times we're paying on our student loans and we're just paying the interest. So you're paying for years. I know some people that have been paying for years and they're like, my balance has not gone down because they're only paying the interest. So you got to have a better strategy to know that if you're paying this, it's going towards something and it's actually making a difference. You're not just paying on interest. And then number 5, like I said, utilizing student loan forgiveness programs for your industry, for your job. Maybe it might be 10 years, however long it is that you can get half your debt forgiven, whatever you got to do to not have to pay those loans in a legal and ethical and moral way. We need to figure it out. And I promise you, if I can find more ways, I will tell the world, because we are all in the same boat. Hopefully one day, someday, they'll just disappear. Probably not. So we will just prepare and plan in the future. And now we're looking into the fun part. I love talking about investing. Investing is literally the most exciting topic in the world. I talk to everybody about the budgeting and the credit and the debt and all that, because it's like, before you even get to investing, we really need to talk about the basics, getting your disciplines down there, making sure that you're doing the right things, making sure that you're building good, healthy habits, and making sure that you are ready to go. Now that we've talked about that, we can talk about saving and investing, because the rule is it's not what you make, it's what you keep. So if you make $500 a month and you're spending $500 a month, essentially you're at zero. You can't live, you can't save, you can't invest, you can't do anything. And at this point in time, I'm just going to be realistic. You guys are I'm 31. So you guys are probably at least 5, 6, 7, 8, if not 10 years younger than me, depending on what grade you're in. It's going to be about $2.5 to $3 million to retire. The average person lives about 20 years in retirement, and to have about $30,000 in income, in retirement income for those 20 years, you're looking at a huge chunk of money, in addition to the fact that, general living expenses. And if you want to do anything extra, that's going to go up. So just know that you need about $3 million-ish to retire comfortably. So you got to start saving now. And so a lot of my clients that are younger, they're like, oh, I have time. And I'm like, that's what my 40-year-old client said 20 years ago. Let's do better and know that time is on your side when you start investing early. So what is the difference between saving and investing? I have to make the difference because there is a huge difference. Both important, two completely different goals. And the biggest difference is between saving and investing is the level of risk. Saving just allows you to put money away. Basically no interest. So you're putting money in your bank account. You have a savings account at Chase. They're giving you like less than 1% on your account, but it's there. It's going to be there no matter what, it's there. That is saving, just putting money to the side for a rainy day. Investing allows you to put that money away, but then you make money on your money. There is a little bit more risk in return for a little bit more reward. So you need both. You need both for long-term wealth, because you need the one for emergencies. If something happens to your car, if you need to fly home tomorrow, you need money in your account. However, you do need money in the future for moving, for traveling, for kids, for marriage, for retirement. So you got to be able to make sure you're doing both simultaneously to be successful. And if you start doing these habits now, even if you only make $20 a week, or that's probably low. You guys probably make more. I feel like college kids make a lot more than I did when I was in college, but let's say you make $500 a month. Even if you just make that and you're saving $100, that's something. Or you're investing $50, you're starting that habit, that muscle, and building that muscle. So as you make more money, guess what? You're automatically transitioning into saving, because you already know that's what you need to do. So here are some questions that I get. So when it comes to saving, you want to set goals. So sit down with yourself and say, what are my goals? What am I saving for? What do I need this money set aside for? And then you want to build that discipline. If you say, hey, I want to be able to take a birthday trip, or I want to be able to go home to see my family for Christmas, or whatever it is that you need, or you want to take a trip for graduation, or just, I don't know why I'm on trips. Like, I think I really love to travel, and like, I'm just keep thinking about taking trips, but whatever it is, you want to set a goal. Then you want to focus on building a discipline around that goal. And so if you're going to take from your check, let's say, I always say take 10% from whatever you make, take 10% and put it away every check. And guess what? You won't miss that 10% because you're already automatically like trained to know that 10% doesn't exist. It's there, but it doesn't exist for you to use. And you'll just get used to living on less, that 10% less. So build that discipline, or maybe it's $20 or $50, whatever it is, pick an amount and set it, and do not go against that, and make sure you're putting that away. And then you want to pay yourself first. So I always tell people, like, we know bills need to be paid. And I know I just talked about not defaulting on your bills, because I don't want you to get things mixed up. Don't default on your bills. However, I want you to get into the habit of paying yourself first. Treat yourself like a bill. If you know that you're going to have to retire one day, if you know that you're going to have money for XYZ in the future, it's coming regardless. So you need to put that money away first. Pay yourself first, because guess what? You can always ask a family member or a friend or somebody for $30 to put on your phone bill, or to put gas in the car, or you can go to somebody's house for food. But guess what you can't do? You can't go borrow retirement from somebody. And that is just the reality of it. Like, we need to make sure that we're planning for the thing that is the biggest and the most important, which is the retirement. So pay yourself first. And then you want to build a savings. So you want to build a savings plan. So assess your budget, look at what you bring in, look at what your bills are, and figure out what disposable income do you have left over after you've paid everything. And then designate an amount that is comfortable, that's not going to mess up your current lifestyle too terribly, because that's also a thing. Like, a lot of people come to me and they're like, look, I don't work with a financial advisor because I don't want somebody telling me I can't spend my money. I'm not telling you can't spend your money. I want you to spend your money. I don't want people hoarding money, because that's not living life. That's not enjoying what you're doing. I want you to just plan. I want you to feel good about what you're doing, because imagine this. Imagine if you put money aside every month and you really love shoes, and the newest shoe is about to come out, and you've been putting money away for months. You've got like $1,000 in there, and the shoe's like $450. Well, when you go pull that money out to buy those shoes, do you feel guilty? No, because you planned for it. So as long as you are planning for your expenses, you'll be fine. So designate an amount that you're going to save every month towards whatever it is you're saving for. And that's going to develop that habit to know, like, in the future, when you're out of college and you have a job and you say, I want to go on this trip with my friend. And there we go with the trips. We're going on trips. I think everybody needs to take a trip. We all need a vacation, but you want to go on this trip with your friend. Guess what? You save for it. You go on this trip and you have no shame, because you planned for it, and it'll feel so good. It'll feel great. So then we want to talk about investing. Love investing. There's three different things that I typically recommend right off the bat. If you are a working individual that has income, you need a Roth IRA. Why? Because Roth IRA is funded with after-tax dollars, meaning the government has taken their cut. So what it grows to, you pay no taxes on. That is huge. Every millennial needs a Roth IRA. You can put up to $6,000 in it in a tax year. Max it out, which means fill it to the 6,000 every single year for your whole life. And that's going to give you a couple $1 million by the time the market average about 9% with mutual funds over the last 30 years. So if you're putting away that 6,000 every year, by the time you get to retirement, that's like a huge lump sum of money that you can have tax-free to assist with your retirement assets. Mutual funds. I love mutual funds because, like I said, stocks are great. Investing in individual stocks is awesome because you can make a lot of money, but it's also like professional gambling. Like I said, I am all for it. And I believe that it's a great asset to do, especially if you know what you're doing. But I would say that's more play money. When we're talking about building wealth, long-term, mutual fund is the way to go. What a mutual fund is just imagine a box with about 150 to 250 different stocks and bonds in it. Stocks are going to be Apple, Verizon, Target, all different types of things, all different types of industries mixed with bonds, which are safer. And you've got a mixture of it. And depending on how aggressive you are, meaning you want to take more risk, or how conservative you are, meaning you don't want to take any risk, depends on the mixture of those, which means that no matter what industry is on the top, you got them all. And so they're very safe, but they're also very lucrative, and they're also very liquid. So you can get access to them immediately. So I love mutual funds. And then dollar cost averaging. That is investing systematically a specific amount of money every single month, no matter what. So like I said, picking your amount, let's say it's $50 a month on the first, you always invest $50 a month on the first, and that keeps you in that cycle of investing. So those are a few tips with investing. And then I always recommend having 3 fundamental accounts. This is a way that you will never have to take out a loan. You will never have to borrow money from a family or friend. You will never have to feel like you're in emergency mode, because emergencies happen at the worst possible time. Three fundamental accounts are an emergency fund for, like I said, for just in case things that we don't know are going to happen, but we know they're going to happen. We just don't know when. And then short-term account, which is anything between the next, 6 months to 2 years to 3 years. And then wealth building is for your long-term, that's your retirement till 65, 67, whatever your retirement age is. You want to have those three accounts. And so, for example, if you've got $100 and you're like, look, I've got $100 disposable, I can put this away a month and I will feel good about that. Take your $100 and split it. Put 50%, so $50 into your emergency fund. You want to put 25%, so $25 in your short term, $25 in your long term. Now you're funding everything. Once you've got about 6 months of income, 3 to 6 months of income in your emergency fund, then just continue to fund the other accounts. And as you use the money in the accounts, you replenish it. So if you have an emergency, you need to buy tires, that's great. It's there for you to use. You feel awesome about yourself. Now replenish that money for the next emergency. So you want to get in the habit of an ebb and flow of your money. You use and replace, you use and replace, you use and replace. That is basically going to create a system where you never have to ask anybody for money. And now you feel empowered. You feel strong. You feel like, look, I've got my financial life in order. I can manage $20. I can manage $20 million, because there's a reason why people who win the lottery, why they don't keep that money, why they waste it. I literally know somebody, a friend of a friend, who inherited like $2 million. And I tried to talk to him and I was like, look, I can help you figure out a way to where this money will last you the rest of your life. You can literally do anything that you want. He instead decided he wanted to blow it in 6 months. He blew $2 million in 6 months. And now he's back working a job. And I was like, you literally could have had the life of your dreams, but that's the life you wanted to live. But I believe that you guys are people who want to live a life on your own terms. And you want to live a life of where you have structure and you feel like you can handle whatever's coming on. So I just don't think you guys would do that. So what we're going to do is have a plan. And so just in case you end up inheriting a couple $1 million, or I'm sure a lot of you are going to be millionaires, you guys are going to have great jobs, great careers, great success. If you can learn to manage your money now, guess what? When you get there, it'll be a breeze. You're like, I've been doing this for 10 years. Like, we've got it. And so that's the confidence I want you guys to have. So here we go. Savings and investing homework. Go ahead and write this down. Number one, sorry, this actually is the wrong page, but you ignore the first one because that goes with the loans. But you want to open up an investment account dedicated to all of your payments and use your lump sums to pay off that. So that was something I wanted you guys to add in for the loans, for the investing. The other side of the homework, and I'll go ahead and change this when I send this out so you guys can have it for later. You just want to make sure that you are starting to invest, that you are setting aside, you're looking at your budget and deciding the certain amount that you want to invest and save per month, then deciding which accounts you want to put it in, and then starting that and just having that discipline there. And so I'll go ahead and change that for you guys when we get to that part. And then want to think about saving for retirement. Like I said, it's never too early to start saving for retirement. Saving is a huge job, but it's easier when you spread it over a long period of time. Time is on your side. It is your ally. When people are older, it works against them, but right now it's working for you. So if you spread retirement savings over 25 to 40 years, it's so much easier to do it than it is in 10 years. Playing catch up is hard. It doesn't feel good. You can do it, but why not just save yourself the headache and enjoy the life you want to have? Because you can save less now and end up with the same amount as somebody who had to save more later. So a few things to remember. Know your financial independence number. So what is that? Your financial independence number is the amount of money that you need lump sum so that you never have to work another day in your life. And that depends on the lifestyle you want to live, how much income you think you need a month and a year, the expenses that you're going to have. That's how we figure that out. And that's something that I work with my clients on, figuring out what their number is. Creating a retirement plan. So like I said, again, knowing how much money you want to have at retirement, what age do you want to retire on, what lifestyle do you want to have. Maximize your employer match. So some of you might have jobs, and if you don't have jobs, this is something for you to know for the future. I always talk to people who've had jobs and they thinking backwards, but this is awesome if you guys haven't had corporate jobs or big jobs yet. But if your employer has a retirement plan, you want to find out and you want to participate in it. And if they match, which means that they'll basically give you free money if you put in money, you want to take advantage of the match always and match up to the amount that they give you. Utilizing a Roth IRA for your retirement assets now So that way, no matter what job you have, you've got benefits. And then moving any money from previous jobs. So even if you've had smaller jobs, a lot of these jobs have retirement. And so if you have not moved that money from their accounts into your own, it's sitting there and it's yours. So you want to do that. So those are a few things that you can do that you can add to your homework. And like I said, if you have questions on those, feel free to write them down. I know it's a lot of information, but just some things for you to start thinking about for the future. And so for your retirement homework, number one, like I said, assess your current retirement strategy. If you don't have one, start thinking about it. And number two, checking on your employer benefits. So if you have any at your current job. Number three, submitting any paperwork for employer matching if they do have that. Number four, opening up your Roth IRA. And number five, inquiring about any previous retirement funds that you might have at any old jobs. And so like I said, some of you might be in a space to where this applies. And some of you, this is going to apply in the future. I just want you guys to take note for the future because 1000%, like I said, you guys are the leaders of your school. You guys came here because you want to learn, you want to grow, you want to better yourself. And so I already know that your financial life is important to you. And so you're going to make good decisions and you're going to want to have a strategy. So once you get to that job, you say, I got this. I know exactly what I'm going to do and we're going to do it. And I'm going to have a great financial life. So that's huge. And so here are a few personal finance apps I want to share with you guys. So like I said, this is not your grandma's budgeting, your mom's budgeting. You know, my mom, she worked in accounting. And so she always wrote everything down by hand. And I was just like, look, it's 2021. Everything is virtual. Why are we still budgeting on paper? You lose paper, paper gets messed up, it gets destroyed, and it's not as fun. And so everything else we do is on an app. We have our social media, we have our phones, we have internet, we have all these things. Why not practice personal finance on your app? It's going to make it fun. It's going to make it easy and everything's already made for you. So you don't have to create anything from scratch. So I just want you guys to think about seeing it big and keeping it simple, using those apps because they made them for you. And there's lots of free, great ones out there. So here's a few apps. So my top app, my favorite one is Mint, but I wanted to give you guys a couple of different options. Mint shows you all your bills and all your money at a glance. It does simple budgets. It gives you personal tips and unlimited free credit scores without any harm to your credit score. So that is my favorite. It's super easy. It's in the App Store, whether you have an Android or whether you have an Apple, it is there. It's awesome. Prism, it shows you all your bills. It gives you due date reminders and lets you to pay your bills through the app. So if you're somebody that's like, look, I miss my bill every month. I always forget. I'm always having to call. This might be the app for you. So go ahead and check it out. Then we have Every Dollar. It's also a great app. I used to use this one before Mint, before I fell in love with Mint. Every Dollar, simple budgeting, shows you monthly expenses. So that's a great one as well. Clarity Money shows you all your finances in one place and analyzes your spending behavior, gives you suggestions and any unwanted subscriptions. So this is huge. Do you realize that we as a nation, we spend trillions of dollars a year on apps that we don't realize we are subscribed to, but we're paying because it's attached to auto pay? We should not be doing that. And so that's another thing, add that to your list of homework. Check all of your accounts. If you have any apps that you're paying for that you do not use, one, cancel them, cancel all the subscriptions. Two, you can actually go to Apple and dispute it and ask them to refund you some charges. I'm not sure about Android, but you can call the company and actually get it disputed as well and get some of that money back. But that's something you got to check often. So many times I'm like, oh my gosh, I signed up for a free trial and I forgot to cancel it. They bank on that. And companies are making trillions of dollars off of us because we are not checking our statements. Spendy, it's multi-user. So if you want to have family, if you have a partner, anybody that you do finances with, it allows you to do it all together. It gives you a shared wallet with family and friends. You can manage your shared expenses. And Credit Karma is awesome for keeping track of your credit score and disputing errors. So if I can tell you just two of my favorites that you can have, that you can toggle between, I would say Credit Karma for keeping track of your score and all of your debt and all of that. And then Mint for your personal budgeting. Those two apps together, awesome. Use those. They're amazing. And it'll really get you on track for what you're looking for. And so I just want to remind you guys is that an investment in knowledge pays the best interest, period. Just you by being here today, listening to me ramble off and talk about all these things, I hope that you got something and you invested in yourself. Being a participant in this leadership conference, which is huge. Your school is amazing for this. And Dr. Marguerite, thank you again for allowing me to come and speak with your students because you guys are investing, like I said, in your holistic experience in school, in leadership. And I'm sure that this will benefit you in jobs, in your future businesses and whatever that you guys decide to do. So just know that none of this, even if some of it you're like, this didn't really apply to me, you never know what it might apply to. And so be proud of yourself for taking the time to really just pay attention and learn a little bit about finance, because money makes the world go around. A lot of people say that money is not everything, but everything costs money. So it kind of is. And as long as we don't make money bigger than what it is, and that we use it as a tool to have options and do things that we need to do, money's great. And so it's all about perspective. And I just want to change your perspective and encourage you guys to have a great financial life. And you can be a good person. You can make good money, live a great life, and really help a lot of people in the meantime. And it can all go hand in hand. And it all starts with having healthy habits, having a good discipline, and doing the right things now, just like you guys are doing. And so
Thank
just
you
to wrap
so
up,
much. Let's give Bridget a round of applause. And if you can stop share so you can see everyone.
absolutely. Feel free to screenshot this, my website and information. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a message. I love to help, but thank you guys so much. This was amazing. Thank you again, Dr. Marguerite, for inviting me. Thank you for the East Bay student leadership community. You guys are amazing. And I wish you all the best of luck in the rest of this semester. This was awesome. You made my day, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. And we do want to leave room for questions, right? I mean, we have about 15 minutes for questions. And so if you want folks to unmute or just drop their question in the chat, however you want to manage it is fine. I see people raising their hands. And so I will let you manage the raised hands.
Awesome. Yeah, we can feel free to unmute. We can start with Alyssa, and then we can go to, is it Adisa?
Adisa. Oh, can I screenshot again that after I think I couldn't screenshot. I wasn't fast enough.
Yep. There we go. I'll leave this up for 2 seconds, and then we'll go to Alyssa, then Adiza, and then Omar.
Okay, hold on. I don't know. Okay.
Awesome. You can go ahead and unmute Alyssa.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask if there was any like mutual funds or ETFs that you recommend like investing in for an Roth IRA, because I'm very familiar with like how to set it up and stuff. And I mean, I don't have like the best pre-tax income at the moment with just being a student and stuff, but like then it gets to the part where it's like, okay, well, what do you want to put your money into? And I get all confused.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So there's like so many mutual funds out there. There's a few that are my favorite. One of my companies that I love is Franklin Templeton. So if you shoot me an email, I can give you a few suggestions of those. And then you can ask any other further questions from there. But yeah, most honestly, all mutual funds over the past 30 years have averaged about 9%. So they're great. And so it just depends on how aggressive or conservative you want to be. So I also don't want to just tell you, hey, be in this one, but you might be a little bit more conservative or aggressive. So yeah, you can shoot me an email and then I can kind of walk you through some things and answer any more questions.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And Adisa, did you have a question, or were you just asking about the screenshotting?
Oh, the screenshotting, but I'm fine.
Awesome, thank you. And Omar, you can go ahead.
Awesome. First of all, thank you for your time. And my question is, how you said to have 3 credit cards or less, because I'm wondering, wouldn't it be fine if you say you could have like even 7, whatever it may be, as long as they're on auto pay, you're not using any more money than you would have like with a debit card, because at the end of the day, you'll still have a large combined credit limit. And is there anything, less than ideal if you have like only 10% usage?
Yeah, absolutely. So one, you are absolutely correct. So the reason why I say 3 or less is because I'm typically talking to people who are kind of starting out. And so I don't want to tell somebody who has 0 credit cards to go from 0 to 7. That might be a little bit intense. But if you have been practicing these things, you've got a few, but you want to add a little bit more because you want to make sure that your credit limit is bigger because you maybe have a business or you have different aspirations and your income is there and you're able to manage it. Absolutely. Feel free to do that. I would just say, just make sure that you know your limits. And so essentially everybody should assess their own income limits and what they have ability to handle, because some people can handle 7, some people can handle 1. And so kind of sit down with yourself and say, what can I handle right now? And then kind of work from there.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. And is it Naveen?
Yes. So a question that I had was, what would you recommend us to do? Like, I didn't really know about the 30% rule, but I used to do more than 30 because I thought it would help me improve my credit. But what would you recommend I do if I want to increase my credit limit?
So if you want to increase your credit limit, you can actually call the credit card companies and ask them. You just say, I want to increase my credit limit. And they'll either tell you yes or no. And if they say no, they'll let you know what you have to do in order to get it done. But it's pretty easy to do. So like I said, if you have a card that you've been using for a while and you're like, I've been doing a great job at this, like it might make sense for you to do that. So like I said, a lot of the advice I give is really base advice. And then you kind of want to assess the person that you are, the income that you have, the discipline that you've developed and what you can handle. And then from there, decide, okay, can I handle an upgraded credit limit? Okay, great. Let me call Chase and say, I want to upgrade it. They upgrade it. Okay, now I need to make sure that I'm adhering to those things and just kind of go from there. So just kind of assess those things. But yeah, you can call. It's super easy to do. You can also call the company and ask them to reverse any late charges, fees, and lower your interest rate. So that's something that you can also do. I would ask. They can either tell you yes or no, but sometimes they will tell you yeah.
Yes. And second question I had was, does the Roth IRA count as a type of income or asset? Like specifically in examples like for financial aid or for loans?
It depends on how much you have in there. So because it's not like $100,000, and if you're starting right now, you're probably not going to start off with the full 6,000, depending on what your income is. You should be okay with the financial aid. And then I'm not sure what level you are in school. By the time you graduate, like I said, you'll have lots of time to gain that money in the future. I wouldn't let it deter you. I would still kind of start at least putting something into it.
Definitely. And you said to shoot an email if we want to ask about recommendations, which Roth IRAs to go for. Like,
yeah, definitely. Yeah. So yeah, we can chat. I do free 15-minute chats with people just to kind of give education and any extra knowledge that's specific to their situation. When I deal with people with finances, it's not a one size fits all. So I have basic guidelines, but then from there, it's like, okay, like I said, what you as a person can do and what you're comfortable with is going to look different than somebody else's. So that's why I said I kind of don't give all basic information. It's just like I want to give you a foundation, and then from there, if you have more questions, like I'm happy to assist you guys there. So feel free to just shoot me an email.
Definitely. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions? I don't see any other hands, but if you guys want to unmute, if anybody had any last thoughts or anything that came to them that has to do with anything about finance, feel free to let me know, and I'd love to answer. Going once? Well, thank you guys so much. This literally made my day. I love pouring back into students. Like I said, you guys are the leaders of tomorrow, and I'm so proud of you for being here today. I'm so appreciative of your time, and I'm honored that, I was given the opportunity to be here. Thank you, Dr. Marguerite, for allowing me to take over the space for 50 minutes. You're amazing. She's literally one of my favorite people in the world. So I appreciate all the accolades she gives me. I give them right back to her because she's so amazing. And this also is a testament to building connections and building relationships with people, because like she said, I went to San Francisco State, but we were connected through different ways afterwards. And she's really been somebody who has impacted my life in a positive way. So don't take her for granted. Use her as a resource. Especially when it comes to real estate, like I'm getting so much game from her. So I just thank you so, so much. I'm so appreciative. I really, really appreciate your guys' time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your conference.